מזמור לדוד, אדוני רואים ואכסר, בנוד שירביצני, על מי מנוחות ינעלני. נפשי ישובב ינחני במגלי צדק למען שמו, כאן כי ילך בגיא צל מוות, לא ידע רע כי אתה עמדי. שבטך ומשרתך המה ינחמוני, תערוך לפני שולחן נגד צורריי, דישנת בשמן ראשי כוסי רוויה. הכתוב בחסד ירדפוני כל ימי חיי, ושבתי בבית אדוני לאורך ימים. The words of the 23rd Psalm. A psalm of David. Adonai is my shepherd, I shall not want. Giving me repose in green meadows, leading me beside the still waters to revive my spirit. Guiding me on the right path, for that is God's essence. Though I walk through a valley of the shadow of death, I fear no harm, for you are with me. Your staff and your rod comfort me. You prepare a banquet for me in the presence of my foes. You anoint my head with oil, my cup overflows. Surely goodness and kindness shall be my portion all the days of my life, and I shall dwell in the house of Adonai forever. Well, welcome everyone. Thank you so much for coming out this afternoon. Thank you to all of you online. Thank you for tuning in. My name is Rabah from Congregation Sharet Tzedek, and it's my great honor to be here conducting this funeral service for Elyse Halprin Z of blessed memory. Elyse was also known to the Jewish people by her Hebrew name, Eli Bat David Pessi. She was the daughter of David and Nell of blessed memory, the wife of the late Ken Halprin of blessed memory, the sister of Bartlett Samuels of blessed memory, the mother of David Halprin and Linda Redmond, Susan Halprin Klein of blessed memory, and Brian Klein, and Tracy Halprin of blessed memory. The grandmother of Bailey, Sari, Julie, and Emily, the great-grandmother of Lila B., Asher Theo, Miles Rubin, and Leo Sunny. Elyse passed away December 23rd at the age of 93. The final words of the Psalm 150, and thus the entire book of Psalms, are Kol HaNeshama Tehalel Yah, Hallelujah. Let everything that has a soul praise the divine, Hallelujah. The book of Psalms concludes with this charge, but this verse also serves as a reminder that every breath of life, every time we breathe, we need to remember the everyday miracles of life. Because God put that soul inside our bodies, it is only right that we use that soul to serve the giver of such an amazing gift. This verse is a reminder that our love of life and our commitment to God's values is not dependent on specific outcomes, but the sole realization that we have a soul should be enough to do the right thing. If Elyse Halprin, blessed memory, had to base her love of life and her commitment to God's values on specific outcomes, she would have probably gave up long ago. But instead, Elyse realized that the fact that she had a soul, the fact that she was still breathing, was enough to know that she still had so much more to give. Personal tragedy and health struggles didn't stop her. In fact, as I learned from Elyse's family, she even held tight to life for days after the doctors said that she would be gone in a matter of hours. Elyse reminded us all during her life and even on the brink of death that Judaism is a religion that emphasizes the importance of life and the hope that supports it. Elyse was also well known for her charitable contributions. The generous giving of tzedakah, charity, is one of the extraordinary attributes of the Jewish people. Worldwide, tzedakah is responsible for the critical support of the needy, as well as for the maintenance and maintaining the Jewish community's infrastructure, as schools, synagogues, community centers, etc. The mitzvah of providing tzedakah is one of the primary expressions of chesed, kindness. As such, it is also fulfillment of the mitzvah of emulating the ways of God, as well as the mitzvah as you shall love your fellow as yourself. Elyse was passionate about sharing some of her blessings with others. Passion that she shared with her beloved husband, Ken, of blessed memory. During her life, she donated generously places like the Chesed Shelemes, Shaare Zedek Synagogue. She also started a fund, the Jewish Foundation. Her family always admired with pride how giving tzedakah seems to be on her DNA. As you can see, Elyse Halprin praised God in many different and meaningful ways. Ways that inspired and helped multiple people and institutions. She also praised God in the synagogue. Elyse loved the Shaare Zedek, and lately she loved watching Shaare Zedek services and was appreciative to have the opportunity to connect to God and the congregation. Judaism was very important to her, and it permeated every wall of her home and into everything she did. Now we'll have the opportunity to hear some more words to honor Elyse's memory from her granddaughters, Bailey and Sarah. I'd like to invite you to come to them.
I know that it's not possible to live forever, but we thought if anybody had a chance, it would have been our grandma, our Gigi, the queen and matriarch of our family, Elyse. It may be hard for many to believe that we are actually so very shocked at the passing of a 93-year-old but for those who knew Elyse, they would likely understand. She was born November 26, 1929, at the onset of the Great Depression, and these circumstances informed her outlook on life. She was grateful, generous, gracious, and not excessive. She lived every aspect of her life in a careful and considered manner. Her father, David Theodore Samuels, was first-generation Canadian to German immigrants. Her mother, Nell Sodomsky, was born in Russia. David and Nell raised their children, Elyse and Barnett, in Wolseley. Just 2 weeks ago, on her first day at the Victoria Hospital, my grandmother was talking to us about her great concern with the rising anti-Semitism in our world. We asked her if she ever experienced anti-Semitism personally in her lifetime, and she recalled a memory as a young girl walking home from Laura Seaport's school to her house on Sherburne Street. And a neighbor, the little girl next door, pointed to her and said, "You're a dirty Jew." She said this was the only time she experienced anti-Semitism, and made a point of saying to us how important it is that we support the B'nai B'rith and their work standing up for anti-Semitism. Elyse lived her life ensconced in the Jewish community, but in many respects, this provided her not only with her social and cultural network, but a sense of security and comfort. She attended Gordon Bell High School and graduated from the University of Manitoba with what our grandfather joked as an MRS. In her early 20s, she met our grandfather Ken at the Jewish fraternity party at the Sammy's Club Room. She said he pinned her, and in 1951 they were married and began a romance that would last the next 67 years. Elyse was a devoted mother and homemaker. She and Ken had 3 children, Susan, Tracy, and David. They built a beautiful home on Ash Street and created an idyllic childhood for their young family in River Heights, surrounded by grandparents, aunts, uncles, and cousins. They spent happy summers at their lakefront cottage in Winnipeg Beach. While the children made memories at Winnipeg Beach Day Camp, the adults spent time boating, fishing, and visiting. Our grandmother recently recalled their fabulous late-night parties and frequent card games. Life was good. Our grandparents traveled extensively to Europe and Israel, and in the early 1980s, they became snowbirds in Florida. In Florida, our grandmother also made a beautiful, comfortable, and colorful home. They spent time with many friends and family from Winnipeg, but also made a new circle of friends in their community and from their Florida synagogue. We have so many happy family memories in Florida. Our visits started as extended winter stays with our mother as young children, and quickly became spring break and reading week stints. In the later years, our mom would spend weeks or months at a time with our grandparents in Florida. Grandma and Mom crisscrossed the I-95 together, spending time at town center, grocery shopping, and a few too many trips to Festival Flea Market. In 2015, Julie was able to spend 3 months with them as she completed her optometry school rotation in the area. Julie and Elyse would often go out all day on weekends shopping and errands, enjoying their time together. They would return home in the evening when they told Ken, be ready to go out for dinner, which he never was. In 1986, I was born, making Elyse a grandmother for the first time, followed quickly by Sari and Julie, and 10 years later by Emily. Our grandmother was a deeply connected, loving, and supportive grandmother. Elyse lived a beautiful life, but it was not without heartbreak and challenge. She suffered the tragic loss of 2 of her daughters. She dealt with health issues with my grandfather for many years. These challenges had a profound impact on her, but she never resigned or wavered. She always forged ahead. She was resolutely stoic. She was quite simply made of sterner stuff, cut from a different cloth. It was like she was dressed in a suit of armor, but with red lipstick and perfect hair. Despite it all, throughout her 80s and 90s, she was active, even discovering YouTube yoga during COVID. There were no days spent at home in sorrow. There were no days spent idle. She pushed herself to live life to the fullest each day. She continued to be an excellent cook and bake, famous for her family recipe of chocolate cake, banana cake, perfect pies, moon cookies, and commish. She was not an old-fashioned cook. She looked down on what she called hairdresser recipes, with a can of this or a packet of that. She was a vibrant part of the community at the Rady Center, attending exercise classes. Visits and daily phone calls to her close girlfriends gave structure to her life. She was deeply committed to philanthropy, maintaining a Halprin connection to the Jewish Foundation of Manitoba, of which her father-in-law Joseph Halprin was a founder. Attending, and then in the pandemic years, streaming the services from Sharon Tzedek Synagogue every Saturday brought her both immense joy and calm to her life. She was committed to the future of our synagogue. She kept a close nexus to her family and cousins. She had loving relationships with both of her sister-in-laws, Lillian Samuels of blessed memory, and Alice Halprin and niece Carrie Halprin, and their children and grandchildren. A highlight was seeing the youngest generation of Halprin, Leipzig, and Klein families come together annually. She used her iPhone and iPad with both ease and great frequency. She had a very close relationship with her son David. They spoke each day by FaceTime. She loved her FaceTime visits with Emily. Emily's marriage to Kevin was a high point for Grandma. She told us often how happy she was for both of them. At 93, she was current, up to date with fashion and pop culture, what to watch on Netflix, direct messaging, or friends on Instagram. She was excellent company. Sari said she was her and Scott's best and favorite dinner guest. She gave us the weather report, headlines from the Globe and Mail, Winnipeg Free Press, and of course the Jewish Post on the regular. Our grandma entered a new phase of life with the birth of her 4 great-grandchildren. As Julie noted, she quite literally rebranded. Grandma became Gigi, great-grandma. She was connected through her iPad, texting and photo streams. She took part in all the kids' activities, concerts, school seders, chocolate chip cookies, and weekly deliveries of cheese muffins for Leo and Miles. When she was at the hospital 2 weeks ago for what we thought was going to be a brief stay, and I was retrieving items from her condo, she said to me, "There's cheese muffins in the fridge for the boys." A major highlight of this last epoch of her life were summers in Winnipeg Beach with her great-grandchildren. She reveled in the fact that she had been at the cottage for 64 years. It brought her so much joy to wake up in the cottage with the kids. Sometimes it was a bit too noisy. Lila remarked that she would occasionally ask if it was safe for her to come out yet. She loved watching the kids embark for their day on their bikes to day camp. This year, Asher and Lila for the first time by themselves. She was not an emotional person, but at the beach she would say how happy she was to be there. She was grateful to be outside. She was grateful to see her friends and cousins. She was immersed in our life at the beach, embracing spontaneity and an open-door policy. Her frequent phrase in the summer was, "It's the beach." She was a fixture at summer dinners at Josh and Laura's. Her pinnacle of happiness was seeing the kids run back and forth at the lakefront. She loved having our kids' friends over after camp for play dates for Lila's Sunshine Academy, but her favorite was having Lev and Maya over. Seeing the cousins together was like watching history repeat itself. At night, when the kids were tucked in, we would leave them under her watchful eye. Some people have to worry about a teenage babysitter on their screen. We had to worry about our 90-year-old babysitter on her screen. She was present for every Shabbat dinner, often the hostess up until weeks ago, each holiday, every birthday. When our mother passed away, we shifted all of our attention to her. Certainly we felt it was our duty, our birthright, but it was more than that. We wanted to be with her. We wanted her company, her presence and her energy, her advice and her sense of ease. She had a profound impact on us in every way, on our sense of self, community, Jewish identity, and motherhood. Her loss is huge in our family. There will be an emptiness each morning when we make our regular phone calls to one another and texts to each other, our check-ins throughout the day, the calls on the way home, and of course, her dependable message to our group chat each night, in bed with my iPad, love G. One thing has become so clear over this incredibly difficult week, and that is the inextricable bond between mother and daughter, and the link from generation to generation. Our mom was who she was because of her mother, and us because of her and the mother before her, our amazing grandma. It gives us great comfort to know she is reunited with her daughters, and she and they will always and forever be in our hearts, in our daily life, and in the DNA, both literally and figuratively, for each generation to come. We love you, Gigi, always and forever.
Thank you so much. One thing that we have to remember is today is the last day of Hanukkah. If you've been celebrating the festival, probably lit 8 candles last night. What you should know is that it wasn't always like that. There was a big debate about 2,000 years ago between the rabbis that if we have to go from 1 to 8 or from 8 to 9, 8 to 1, eventually the majority voted that it has to be from 1 to 8. And the reason is because that should serve as a reminder that in this life we should always aim to increase and never to decrease. And after that beautiful eulogy, I'm pretty sure it was clear that this world is a better world thanks to everything that Elyse Halprin did during her life. She came here to increase the light of this world. I would like to invite now everyone to rise for the El Malel Rachamim. El Malel Rachamim Shochem Bameroimim Hametzei Menucha Nechona Tachat Kafei Hashechina V'ma'alot Kedoshim Kedoshim Uteorim Kezoyar Arakim Amazirim Edni Davinu Pesi She'alecha Le'olama Ba'avur Shel Mitpalelim Bi'ad Askarat Nishemata Ve'gar Menucha רחמים, יעשתי לאיה בסדר כנעב לעולמים, וצרור בצרור החיים, החיים את נשמת, אדוני ונחלת, ותנוח בשלום. על משכבה ונאמר Amen. Exalted, compassionate God, grant infinite rest in your sheltering presence among the holy and pure, to the soul of Elyse Halprin, who has gone to her eternal home. Merciful One, we ask that our loved one find perfect peace in your eternal embrace. May her soul be bound up in the bond of life. May she rest in peace. Let us all say, Amen. You may be seated. A few announcements before we move to the next stage, which is to go to the Zedek Cemetery. First announcement, remember that after the burial part is over, everybody's invited to a meal of consolation on Elyse's memory. It's going to be taking place at Brian's home, which is 481 Park Boulevard East. Just a little detail, if you are coming to the meal of consolation, please remember to use the door closest to the mailbox to enter into the house. Public Shiva will be observed today only from the end of the meal of consolation until 7 p.m. Mariv service and Kaddish will be chanted tonight at around 5:30 p.m. After that, Shiva will continue privately. Donations on Elyse's memory can be made to the Jewish Foundation of Manitoba. And the family would like to extend sincere thanks to all the caregivers and staff at the Victoria Hospital, at the St. Boniface Hospital, for assisting Elyse during difficult times. Next, we are going to proceed in caravan fashion to the Zedek Cemetery, located on Armstrong Street, or Avenue. You know what it is? Avenue. I think it's Armstrong Avenue and Main Street, the corner. Please remember to turn on your four-way flashers to identify your car as part of the caravan. And also remember to stop at red lights and stop signs. At this point, I would like to invite the pallbearers to assume their places alongside the coffin. Everyone else, please rise. Going to